We're going to fix a connector on these headphones. Move it back and forth. We can hear that the brake is right in here. We've got the problem isolated to this joint. When we look at the plug itself, there's no actual brakes. You can't see any of the wire through the rubber. We'll carefully carve away a little bit of the rubber. We'll carve it away slowly and look for broken wires. Here we're starting to see the wires. We know the break on the wire is around in here. We can start to see some of the frayed wires in there. Here's a close-up of those frayed wires. Strip away more of the rubber. You can really start to see the wires. Strip the wires back until you know it's good. We can clearly see the frayed wires now. With the wires completely separated, everything works perfect. I'll clip off these frayed wires. We removed all the frayed wires. We could add a new connector, but we're going to re-isolate these wires. Encapsulate the wires with some epoxy glue. Cover the wires, but keep each of the wires separate. This will strengthen the wires and keep the wires separate. Once everything works, we can put some shrink tube on it, stabilize everything. Now, if you do want to replace the connector, I'll show you how to do that. Cut off the old connector, strip back the insulation, and you'll notice on this one, there's 4 wires. Sometimes there's 3 wires. And sometimes there's 2 wires with like a metal wrap around. On this one we have 2 copper wires, so we're going to wrap and solder those together. We basically have 1 copper wire and a left and a right or a red and blue. Solder the 2 copper wires together. Now if you have 1 copper wire, you're okay, and if you have that insulation that goes around the 2 wires, that's your ground wire. The next step is easy to forget. Put the back of the plug on the wire. Slide it onto the wire. We'll put solder on the red and the blue wires. There's some string in that wire you want to separate. Now the blue wire is tinned. We'll do the same thing to the red. I usually don't use flux, but there's so many impurities, it helps. Now the wires are tinned. We'll put solder on the connector to tin these so it'll solder together nice. Your ground wires will go on this section here, and then you've got your left and right wires. Solder on all 3 places. We'll add the copper wire to the bottom plate. You could put the copper wire through this hole and then make sure the insulation can be crimped later. Now we've got the ground securely on there. We'll put blue on one side and red on the other. It is possible to get the left and the right mixed up. If you do, just unsolder them and resolder them in the right spot. We'll crimp the metal around the insulation. Now everything's crimped on and soldered on. We'll push the plastic piece back up into place, screw it into place. With everything together, we'll test it. Whenever I can, I just replace the entire end. It looks better and it just seems like a better repair. Everything works as it should.